Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Way to Fluency. I'm Clara.
And I'm David. Today, we're talking about a big problem in learning English. It's a question many people have, and it can be very frustrating.
Oh, yes, David. It's so common. Maybe you feel this way too. You understand almost everything, but speaking is very hard.
Right? Imagine this. You watch a TV show in English with no subtitles. You read articles or news easily. You understand every single word people say in a conversation. You feel proud.
But then, someone asks you a simple question in English, and when you try to speak, your mouth just stops. The words don't come out. It's like your brain freezes. You feel shy or stuck.
Exactly. It's like you understand English, but you just can't speak it. This is a common secret many English learners keep. They feel alone in this. Today, we will explain why this happens, and we'll share some surprising ideas and simple tips to help you.
So, if you ever feel this way, like your tongue is tied, stay with us. You're not alone, and we have some great tips that can truly help you unlock your voice.
First, let's understand why this happens. It's not because you're bad at English. It's about how your brain learns and uses language. Your brain has different ways of working.
Think of it simply. Your brain has two main parts for language. One part is for understanding. That's when you listen and read. We call this the receptive part. It's like a special machine that takes in information. It can quickly understand many words and sentences. It's very good at decoding.
The other part is for speaking and writing. That's when you talk. We call this the productive part. This part is like a machine that makes information. It doesn't just understand words. It needs to find words, build sentences, and make sounds, all at the same time. It's a much more active process.
And here's the important point. You can be very good at understanding without being very good at speaking. It's like being a big fan of football. You watch every game, you know all the rules, you understand every play. But if someone asks you to go play the game, maybe you can't kick the ball very well or score a goal. You understand the game, but you don't play it often.
Many English classes, especially in the past, focused a lot on grammar rules and memorizing word lists. This can make you good at understanding the structure of the language. You know the rules, you can fill in blanks in a test. But knowing the rules doesn't mean you can use them quickly in a real conversation. You know the theory, but you don't play the game often enough. So the understanding part of your brain is strong, but the speaking part needs more practice.
But it's not only about how your brain works. There's a big feeling that stops many people from speaking. Fear.
Oh, the fear of making mistakes. I remember when I was learning Spanish. I could understand almost everything people said. But when I tried to order a simple coffee at a cafe, my mind went blank. My throat felt tight. I couldn't say the words. I was so afraid of saying the wrong thing.
It's so scary, isn't it? We are so afraid of saying something wrong, of sounding silly, of people not understanding us, or of not being perfect. We want to speak English like a native speaker right away. But trying to be perfect actually stops us from getting better. It's a trap.
Think about it. When you listen to English, there's no stress. You just hear the words. You can take your time to understand. But when you speak, it feels like you're on a stage. You have to perform. And in our minds, it feels very important to do it well. We worry about what others will think.
We learn from a young age that mistakes are bad. In school, you lose points for mistakes on a test. But in learning a language, mistakes are actually steps to speaking better. They are like clues. They show you what you need to learn. Every mistake is a lesson. If you don't make mistakes, you're not trying enough.
So, a surprising idea. The more you understand English, the more you might know about your own possible mistakes. And this can make you not want to speak. It's a strange problem. You become so aware of grammar rules that you stop yourself from speaking because you're afraid to break them. But communication is more important than perfection.
I have a story about this. When I first moved to Germany, my German comprehension was pretty solid. I could follow conversations, watch the news, no problem. I felt smart. But speaking? No way. I remember one time I was at a bakery. I just wanted to ask for a specific type of bread, a Roggenbrot. I had the words in my head, Ich hat gern ein Roggenbrot bit. But they just wouldn't come out. I stood there, looking at the baker, pointing to the bread, and I ended up making a strange grunting noise like, that one. It was so embarrassing. I just wanted to disappear.
Oh, Clara, I know that feeling so well. My moment was in Japan. I'd studied Japanese for years, could read manga, watch anime. I felt like I knew a lot. But one day I was lost in Tokyo in a big train station, and I needed to ask for directions to a specific train line. I knew the phrases Sumimasen, Eki wa doko desu ka. Excuse me, where is the station? But my mouth just wouldn't form the sounds. I tried, but it came out like a whisper. A kind stranger saw my struggle and eventually just showed me on their phone map. I felt so defeated and small.
But what was the turning point for you, David? What finally broke that barrier? What helped you start speaking?
For me, it was a weird one. I started talking to my dog in Japanese. Seriously, he didn't judge my grammar. He didn't care about my accent. He just wagged his tail and listened. It sounds silly, but it removed all the pressure. And slowly, those Japanese words started flowing more easily. I felt safe to make mistakes. What about you, Clara? How did you overcome your bakery trauma?
Mine was less furry. I joined a very casual, non-judgmental language exchange group. We met once a week, and the main rule was, everyone makes mistakes and no one corrects you unless you ask for help. That safe space, where perfection wasn't the goal, was revolutionary. It allowed me to just try. I started with simple sentences, then more complex ones. And little by little, the fear went away. And that's the key, isn't it? To create a safe space for yourself to practice.
This brings us to another surprising idea, a concept called comprehensible output. We talk a lot about comprehensible input. That's when you listen and read things you mostly understand. It's important for learning words and grammar naturally. But comprehensible output is just as vital, and it's often forgotten.
It's the idea that when you try to speak, even if your English is broken, even if it's ugly English, and someone understands you, your brain gets a massive positive signal. It's like, aha, that worked. They understood me. And that connection, that successful communication, even a small one, supercharges your learning. It's like your brain gets a reward.
Think of a baby learning to speak. They babble. They make sounds. They try to form words. They're not getting it perfectly, but their parents usually understand what the baby means, and that encourages the baby to keep trying. They get positive feedback. We, as adult learners, often skip this crucial babbling phase in our target language. We want to jump straight to perfect sentences, but we need to babble first.
So, the surprise here is, you don't need to be perfect to learn. You just need to be understood. And the more you practice being understood, the better you will get. It's a powerful feedback loop. You speak, you get understood, your brain learns, you speak better.
This is why just consuming content, just listening to podcasts or watching movies, isn't enough to speak. You need to produce. Even if it's just talking to yourself in the mirror, narrating your day, or yes, talking to your dog. The act of speaking helps your brain organize information differently.
So, how do we bridge this gap? How do we move from just understanding to actually speaking? We've got some actionable strategies for you that you can start today.
Strategy 1. Embrace the ugly English. Seriously, your English doesn't need to be beautiful or perfect. It just needs to be functional. Focus on getting your message across, even if it means using simpler words, making grammar mistakes, or having a strong accent. The goal is communication, not perfection. People will understand you.
Strategy 2. The shadowing technique. This is a very powerful trick. Listen to a short audio clip in English, maybe a podcast, a YouTube video, or a line from a movie. Then, immediately try to repeat what you hear. Mimic the intonation, the rhythm, and the speed. Don't worry about understanding every single word. Just focus on the sound and flow. It trains your mouth muscles and helps you sound more natural.
Strategy 3. Find a judgment-free zone. This is crucial for building confidence. It could be a language exchange partner who is also learning, an online tutor, or even a voice memo app where you record yourself speaking. The less pressure you feel, the more likely you are to actually speak. If you're looking for partners, apps like Tandem or HelloTalk are great for finding people to chat with.
Strategy 4. Narrate your life in English. This is a fun and easy way to practice every day. As you go about your day, mentally or even quietly aloud if you're alone, describe what you're doing in English. For example, I'm making coffee. I need to add sugar. The water is boiling. Or, I'm walking to the store. It's a sunny day. It forces your brain to access vocabulary and sentence structures on the fly.
Strategy 5. Use prompts, not just free conversation. Sometimes, open-ended conversation is too intimidating. Try using conversation prompts or role-playing scenarios. For example, search for English conversation topics for beginners. Or imagine you're in a situation. Imagine you're ordering food at a restaurant. Describe your favorite movie to a friend. This gives your brain a framework and makes it easier to start.
And remember what David said about his dog. Don't underestimate the power of talking to yourself, your pets, or even inanimate objects around your house. It's pure, unadulterated practice with zero judgment. No one is there to correct you, just you practicing your English sounds.
So, the next time you feel that frustration, remember, you're not broken. Your brain is just very good at understanding. But with consistent, low-pressure speaking practice, you can absolutely bridge that gap and start speaking confidently.
It's about changing your mindset from, I must be perfect, to, I just need to be understood. And trust us, the freedom that comes with being able to express yourself, even imperfectly, is incredibly liberating and rewarding.
We want to hear from you. What's your biggest struggle when it comes to speaking English? Or, if you've already started speaking, what was the one strategy that finally worked for you? Share your stories in the comments below. We read every single one.
And if this episode resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to Way to Fluency for more insights, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive.
Speaking of which, next time on Way to Fluency, we're going to tackle another common issue: how to stop translating in your head and start thinking in English.
Oh, that's a big one. Get ready for some mind-bending techniques that will rewire your brain for true fluency. You won't want to miss it.
Until then, keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep finding your way to fluency.
See you next time.